Heads up, because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit KJ Greenwood to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming up in this edition, the shame that Thom Brennaman has brought upon himself with his stupid remarks. The NBA playoffs heat up. What team may be in trouble from the get-go? We will have a special guest in the Hoodwood, our first of our Hoodwood Talks too. We'll have that, slap, and all sorts of opinions, takes, mantras, you name it, we got it. It's Sports from the Hoodwood. As your seatbelts, buckle your chin straps, and let's go.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, unfiltered commentary and insight on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's Hoodwood's hometown hero, KJ Greenwood.
Greetings from the Hoodwood, where I guess it's a different look for your boy KJ this week. Jerseys are hung up or never matter. I'm here, you're here, let's do this together. Now, this week we were going to lead off with talking about the NBA playoffs and the incredibly stupid and archaic baseball unwritten rule. But we've shuffled them up because of some breaking news that has just come across through the Hoodwood in just the last hour before we started taping. Now this hurts my heart because Hoodwood, being very close to Cincinnati and the Cincinnati Reds, a professional baseball team, their TV broadcaster, Thom Brennaman, a broadcaster whom I respect a lot. His father, Marty, was the Reds broadcaster on radio for almost four and a half decades, from 1974 to just retiring at the end of the 2019 season. Thom Brennaman, who has been the Reds play-by-play on television side for about 8 to 10 years, he uttered a gay slur before the top of the 7th inning of the first of a twin bill between the Reds and the Royals. Now, the Reds and Royals game is being played in Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. The Reds broadcasters are in Great American Ballpark. So they're basically doing the game via remote. Before the beginning of the inning, Brennaman made a derogatory comment about Kansas City using a gay slur, which I'm not going to repeat here. There's no place for that in the Hoodwood. And when a friend of mine sent me a text regarding it, and I had seen on the Facebook posting, the one that supposedly Facebook poster of Joey Votto saying Thom Brennaman should be fired. And I'm going, what the hell is he talking about? Then when I saw the actual broadcast and what was said, and I'm thinking, now come on. Thom Brennaman, he's been a broadcaster for close to 30 years. He should up anybody as well-spoken and professional. The guy does football, baseball. I'm talking about national broadcasts. He, of all people, should know better. I watched the tape, watched it again, and I was going, maybe he stumbled over his word and it came out wrong. Because I'm thinking he should know better. Sadly, he owned up to it. He spoke of it in the broadcast, apologized, owned up for it, and openly questioned if he would be putting on the headset again. As much as I like Thom Brennaman and consider myself a fan of his and his broadcasting style, I really don't think he should be broadcasting any more Reds games at least. And his job security with Fox, because he does national broadcast for Fox, both on the college and pro football side, as well as Reds games, I'm seriously thinking his job status with Fox is going to be in some serious jeopardy. Thom Brennaman, you should know better. As Snuffy says so eloquently, shame on you. Shame on you. You should know better. I mean, if you don't like the city, that's fine. If you have opinions about something, that's fine. But there are times and places for those opinions, and a broadcast that is shown in so many different hundreds, thousands of homes across the area that carries Red's broadcasts. Stuff like that in this day and age is just simply not tolerable. It makes no sense. Why would that even cross your lips? If you're thinking it, keep your thoughts to yourself. I could care less what your opinions are when it comes to human relations. All I want you to do is broadcast the game. Tell me what's going on and give a good, clear description of what I'm seeing. Be funny, be silly, whatever. I don't care. Do a good job, do the broadcast, and leave your personal opinions. I mean, if you're saying, oh, the crowd, they're acting like idiots. Okay, that's one thing. But to use a gay slur is stupidity magnified to the power of 1,000. And there's no place for that in the game, in the broadcast. Just none. And as personal bias aside, and my feelings for Thom Brennaman, a lot of people like him, a lot of people don't like him. But that is something, especially with his father being the legendary broadcaster that he is, and Thom being as good a broadcaster as he is, that's something that will shame his name for quite a long time. That's something that's going to be hard to recover from. And it's something I think we should know. Said my piece. It's our first time out. Come back and talk about the NBA playoffs. Are the Lakers in trouble? Are the Bucks in trouble? The NBA playoffs, if you're not watching it, you're missing some good basketball right now. Sports from Hoodwood, back at you. This.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the Internet's foremost location for opinion, analysis, and insight on the world of sports. Here now is the man famed from sports trivia contests in 38 states and 4 Canadian provinces. Your host, KJ Green.
Oh, we go in the Hoodwood. My name's KJ Green, and let's look at the NBA playoffs. First round kicking off on Monday, and they are what we thought they would be. Exciting games, some upsets already. I mean, some of these series are destined to go 7 games. I mean, but the first question I have with the NBA playoffs, are the Lakers in trouble? I mean, the Lakers and the Blazers, the 1-8 series, with the Blazers beating the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, in the play-in game, 8-9 play-in game. You now have the Blazers, who are decided underdogs to the Lakers. Or are they? That's the question a lot of people are wondering, because Dame Lillard seemingly has put the Blazers on his back and is trying to carry them to a shocking upset. And what about Carmelo Anthony? Bless his soul. He is playing like the grizzled, gritty veteran who comes off the bench for instant offense, leadership, and is just going to be an instant pain to the Lakers every time he touches the ball and launches up a shot. And when it goes through, he's going, I think it's the stupidest symbol, but Melo is going to make life hard for the Lakers. Now, say what you want about LeBron James. He had his usual workman-like triple-double in Game 1. But the rest of the Lakers, Anthony Davis, hello? Are you there? Mr. Davis? Mr. Rondo? Hello? Mr. Caldwell-Pope? Hello? LeBron can only do so much. I mean, when you have a triple-double and you're not even in the game, something is really wrong. And are the Lakers a flawed number one team? They raced out to such a big, solid play up until March. But so far in the bubble, they've looked like kind. They've looked lost. And also in the NBA playoffs, a first-round series that I wish was deeper for higher stakes, which I'm hoping is going to go 7, is Jazz Nuggets. When they split their first game, that game 1, whoo boy. That was one of those games that you saw it and you're just going, oh my goodness. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute lunatic. 57 points in the first game in a losing cause. Why? Because Jamal Murray decided, where's this guy been at all year? All of a sudden, he decides to heat up like a microwave. Like, it is a throwback name. Vinny Microwave Johnson come off the Pistons bench, instant offense. Jamal Murray acted an absolute fool in the fourth quarter and into that overtime of that thrilling Game 1. I am hoping that Jazz Nuggets series goes 7, because that'll be a real first-round treat. Also, a number 1 seeded team out east, the Milwaukee Bucks. How are you going to get your butts whooped by the Magic? The Magic, who are just, well, we're happy to be here. But you look like you had no clue. Giannis? He was the one I was touting last week for MVP. I've been touting for weeks for MVP, I should say. He didn't look like an MVP candidate in Game 1. I still think the Bucks will win, but the Bucks and the Lakers need to shake off these cobwebs in a hurry if they're going to get deep in the playoffs. Or they'll get deep in the playoffs. But if you play like this in the second round or in the conference finals, you're going to get run quickly. You may be able to get away with this monkey business against the Magic and the Blazers. But when you got teams like the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Heat, the Pacers, them waiting for you in the next round, they're not for play. And lethargic efforts like that will get you run quickly. Your summer will begin pretty quickly. Now, I still say that the Rockets really have no business beating Oklahoma City. I still think the Rockets should be able to handle against the Thunder. They'll struggle, but are they now playing with house money after James Harden drops 37 on the Thunder and the Rockets win going away in Game 1 without Russell Westbrook? These are things to watch going into Game 2s that are going to be Thursday and Friday. This is going to be an interesting playoff series. The matchups, I think, are a little bit more even than a lot of people want to let on. Without the benefit of home court advantage, you're going to see a lot more even. Now, I'm going to discuss this here in the next segment. I taped this earlier, and we'll discuss this here in a little bit. Brought my man Dustin, who is a survivor of COVID-19, and I said I was going to get him on the show. We're going to take a time out real quick, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to introduce the segment, and then it'll be a little bit longer segment, but with me and him, we're just basically like sitting over at a bar discussing topics here and there. We're just gonna kind of free flow. So it's a little bit of a different look. I'll have different outfit on because I taped it on Monday, but had him in the Hoodwood, and we just basically, for lack of a better word, shot the shit for a little while. So we're gonna have to look at some of the highlights of that discussion, and then we can get into the final word from the wood after the head slap. This discussion will take the place of the hood of this week's Hoodwood High Five. So we'll take a time out, and we will come back. What's Hoodwood continues after this. Hi everyone, I'm KJ Green. If you're looking to reach a broad audience for your advertising dollar, look no further than where you are right now. You can advertise right here in the Hoodwood. If you need spots created as well, Black Banner Productions Enterprises can create commercial content that drives sales and gets results. You can send your inquiries to ads at blackbannerproductions.com. Black Banner Productions and Enterprises. Sounds, ideas, and images, 21st century.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and we are going to do something a little different this week. We're going to start implementing guests, and I've been talking about it for a while. We finally got the technology together, and we are going to start having guests on the show. Our first guest on the show is going to be an old friend of mine. Well, actually, I should say he is the first guest because I had my friend Daryl Wiley on as a guest host a few months back. But we're going to have, like I said, this one is my first actual face-to-face guest. You actually be able to see him. Now, I taped this a few days ago, so the outfit is a little bit different. The stuff is tote board is a little different, but this is part of the show, and this one's called Welcome to the Hoodwood. We're going to welcome to the Hoodwood, Dustin Underwood. So, without much further ado, yo crew, hit the tape. Let's go. Yeah, I know. The topics were all over the place, and we were a little bit ragged on this, but that's going to be a feature that we're going to have every now and then. You know, welcome to the Hoodwood. We welcome to the Hoodwood to talk about all sorts of stuff. Free-range topics. I might do an interview. We might just do, like I said before, just shoot the breeze about everything. I hope you enjoyed it. We will take a time out and come back with Phat, Head Slap, and the final word from the Sports from the Hoodwood heads down the home stretch after this.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest insight, thorough analysis, and unfiltered opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
Rounding third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green. Let's finish off strong with the Phat Dap, Head Slap, and the final word from the board. This week's Phat Dap goes to, oh my goodness, a repeat winner. LeBron James was the Phat Dap last week for his concerted efforts to create a polling place with Dodger Stadium. This week, I'm just giving him Phat Dap for wearing a red hat that's going to tweak the MAGA chuds that like to wear the Make America Great Again hats. But instead, the Make America Great was crossed out and justice for Breonna Taylor was stenciled in. Yes, it irritates the MAGA crowd that their beloved symbol is being trodden upon. They really don't care. We need justice for Breonna Taylor. Her killers are still out there wearing badges. You may not like my politics, and I really don't care. But we need justice for that young lady. Pronto. That LeBron James to continue to try to hold people accountable for this senseless act. Now, our head slap of the week runs in the same vein of the Open, where I called to task one Thom Brennaman, also calling the task play-by-play announcer for the Charlotte Hornets, Phat. Now, he was basically watching the game, the thrilling game one between the Jazz and the Nuggets, and he tweeted that the game was exciting. But in doing so, instead of putting Nuggets, he used a racial slur. Let's just say it was with the N slur with the hard R. And we'll just leave it at that. Now, Phat was immediately suspended by the Charlotte Hornets from any kind of team duties. He repudiated his statement, saying he mistyped, and said, apologized profusely, saying he was very sorry. We in the hood would call bullshit. Because if you have anything like predictive text or something that you've typed, if you use a phone that has, and I was looking around for my phone, where it's at, back here, if you use a smartphone and you text, and I text a lot, and your phone begins to learn the things that you say, your vernacular, he's used that word before, because that's not something that predictive text is going to put up. He says that he mistyped. To quote the great coach, Herman Edwards, who's the coach of Arizona State now, but as he said it so many times, don't press send. You telling me that you didn't know what you were sending? I call bullshit. Head slap to Phat, another broadcaster who should know better. And now, without any further ado, let's go to the final word. One of the things I love about this being my show, and I can basically do as I want to, say from dancing around in my skivvies in front of the camera, telling anybody really much like, I have creative control, so I can move things around. One of the topics that I was going to discuss was about backflipping and the unwritten rules of the game. It was going to be one of the segments, but with developing stories that pop across Hoodwood, we decided to shuffle things up. So, this is my final word about the unwritten rules. Now, I played baseball, Little League, and came off the bench in high school, but I didn't play that much when they discovered I couldn't hit a curveball. So, I sat the bench more often than not. And the coach for my high school baseball team was one Bill Dorn Sr. And he always used to talk about not shaming the game, playing like you knew, act like you know, play like you belong. And there were always these unwritten rules that you didn't showboat, you didn't show off, you didn't show up your opponent, because you would give them motivation to try to bear down on you harder the next time you came to play. And oftentimes, you did something that was not right, you might get a dot in the back from a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. I can tell you from experience, getting hit in the back with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball is not fun. That being said, the unwritten rules are archaic. The unwritten rules, some of them need to be put to bed. Now, showing off and showboating sometimes has no place. But there are times where a bat flip says it all. Jose Batista's mammoth home run in the 2016 MLB playoffs was something I will always remember because of the disdainful bat flip after he crushes the pitch, sending a pitch skyward and sending a Sky Dome crowd into a frenzy. Fernando Tatis Jr. is becoming one of the hottest young prospects in Major League Baseball. San Diego Padres shortstop has been hitting a ton in the first few weeks of the truncated MLB season. Against the Texas Rangers on Monday night, he hit a mammoth grand slam home run. With the Padres already leading 10-3, and with the bases loaded, Tatis was ahead in the count 3-0. He looked for a fastball, he got a fastball, he deposited said fastball into the right field seats. Watching it a little bit as it went, but still, he hit the ball a ton. The Rangers did not like this, saying that he was showboating, showing them up. The grand slam put the Padres up 14-3, and the Rangers pitchers then decided to throw at the next player, who happened to be star third baseman Manny Machado. The Rangers railed long and hard about how the unwritten rules were violated. Tatis should have just took the 3-0 pitch. Why? Because the Rangers couldn't find the plate with a map? Why? Because they had loaded the bases? Why? Because it was a 3-0 count and they were already down 10-3? I thought the object of the game was to score as many runs as possible. Yes, running up the score is never fun. In different sports, you can try to kind of stall out the clock. But in baseball, there is no such thing as freezing out the clock. You have to get 27 outs. And if you can't get the outs, the runs will pile up. I remember the Seattle Mariners winning 116 games in the 2001 season. One of their 46 losses was to the Cleveland Indians. After having been up 12-0 and 14-2, they blew the game and lost 15-14 to the Indians. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that was one loss in the 162-game season. The Padres won that game going away. But to fault Tatis for swinging at a meatball pitch, the fault should all be with the Rangers for being behind, for getting behind in the count, for loading the bases. It was on them, not Tatis. And Tatis had to kind of put out an apology. Apology for what? What is he apologizing for? I'm sorry, I'm such a good hitter that I'm going to smoke a 3-0 pitch that you throw me that I know you're going to throw as a meatball. Oh, I'm sorry my team is so much better than yours that we were creaming 10-3, then the grand slam made it 14-3. There are certain things in baseball that you just don't do. Stealing bases when you're up way ahead makes no sense. Trying to score extra runs and run up the score, some people say, well, how can you not run up the score? What are you going to do, run in outs? Intentionally strike out? It's stupid. Unwritten rules have a place, but these unwritten rules have no place and have no use in baseball. I don't like them, and I think they should be going the way of the spitball and day-night double headers. Out. And that is the final word from the wood. Hey, with the music coming up in the background, you know that means your time is just about done. Thank you again for your visit. If you want to send me an email, do so at kjgreen@benproduction.com. You send emails on the show topics, questions, comments, and criticism. Correspondence, and I try to respond to every email here in time. You can catch this podcast on a number of sites, including iTunes, and Spotify, and YouTube. The show site itself is hoodwoodsports.podbean.com. show's previous Back Catwalk, as well as the Hoodwood Hustle. That's the soundtrack for the show. Control there, going in and out. Great. I'm also on Facebook, Black Man Productions and Twitter, KJ20 and KJ20. Thanks to Ray Pictures for the continued executive production of the show, and that, fellow sports fans. Until next time out in Hoodwood, I'm KJ Green.
Sports from the Hoodwood
is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation
of a 551 audio and films production.